Welcome to the Great Outdoors Show with Jason and Shane.
Hello and welcome back to the Great Outdoors Show. This is episode number 2, and it's a frozen one. It's frozen outside. And I thought that what better to do than to talk about a drink that either of us like to drink in the great outdoors when it's cold. And I'll let you go first.
Well,
So tell us what you're drinking and what, why you chose that.
well, I'm drinking Jack on the Rocks because I'm a whiskey drinker and I like
Yep.
Jack Daniels. My oldest son bought me this glass that says Jack Daniels, and when you finish it off, it just says old number 7 on the bottom. And I figured to start off, because I'm just sipping on that, I was going to do a shot of Jaeger.
Nice. You just went with straight stuff.
That's how I normally do it. I usually like cheap beer like PBR and usually straight stuff. But I tell you what, I'll get fancier and I'll have a cocktail the next go around. What are you having?
All right. So I found something about 10 years ago that I don't know. I heard somebody mention it somewhere. I have no idea, but it's a mix of peppermint schnapps and Dr. Pepper. We're not being paid by Dr. Pepper.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
And it tastes exactly like a candy cane, and it warms you up even with ice.
Fancy. Well, I will take a shot to you. Like
Cheers.
My shot glass there.
Yeah.
Cheers, dude. Tasty.
Yeah, so if people out there want to suggest a cocktail they want us to try, we'll be brave and try whatever you throw at us.
I'll do that.
Do you have an equipment of the week?
I do. If you watched my channel, you saw that and since it's been so cold, I haven't been able to get to use it. Jason and I were actually talking about being able to get out and, use some of our stuff. So I just got this Coletti percolator.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll say this. If you enjoy percolated coffee at a campfire or on a camp stove, whatever it may be, and it's one of your main ways to make coffee, or if even you had it, be that as it may, this guy right here is a phenomenal percolator. I've been using for years now the Stanley, and it does a great job. There were just some things about the Stanley that I wasn't really a big fan of, like this, this handle, plastic, just small things like that. The way that the actual basket fit inside there, if you can see that, how loose it is. Coletti, actually, first of all, you can see I haven't used this one yet, but I have drank perked coffee out of a Coletti. Wooden handle, got a thumb grip here. No aluminum or plastic. This is glass. The sight here is glass. But my biggest deal is how solid this basket is. This basket,
that's nice.
It fits perfect into the deal. But my last camp out, I was just having issues with getting grounds into my coffee. And I was thinking that some of the issue had to do with the way the basket on my Stanley is made. So on my Stanley, I'll show you really quick. The basket, as I break stuff, basket's very loose, but the stem, like a scavenge line, I'm a mechanic, that's what I'm going to call it. The sending unit here it's loose, but the lid just sits loosely up there. On the Coletti, this was the biggest thing that I was excited about it. The actual basket has its own stem that comes up through the lid, and then it sits on the send line here, like the scavenge line for the unit.
Oh, I see.
Another thing is whenever you're percolating coffee, you're going to pull in once it gets hot, and it's going to spit up, right? So on the Stanley, it's on the stand here. There's the holes. On the Coletti, on the base, it's got a notch. It's got a cutout there, if you can see that.
Yeah.
So it draws it in all the way from the bottom. So I'll have more updates on that here soon. I'll be using it actually tomorrow morning. So that's just how it goes. So I'll do an update on that. And then I have another piece of kit already that I want to show you guys for next week's show. I just haven't used it, and I don't want to talk about it until I use it.
I decided to do something that bears your name. The coffee spit.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've used it a few times. I want to use it some more. I'll got some photos here I'll share for the viewers out there. Let me pull that up.
This is a surprise. I'm really enjoying this. This is great.
So this I made a couple years ago, and really I've only used it for roasts and a chicken, but I want to try different recipes with this. Do you have any recipes or something I should try on this? Any suggestions, since it is your product?
Yes. So one thing that I like to do is, if you like brats, or if you like sausage where you can buy the whole length, you can actually coil them up and then stick the spit all the way through there and cook them as one solid unit. Love to do pork loin on it. I love to do chicken. Cornish hen is really good for those who
I think
like.
You can't see it too well, but that's a Cornish hen there.
Yeah, it is a Cornish hen, isn't it? Yep.
Yeah.
For those of you who this is another taste, if you like squirrel is really good on it.
I've never eaten squirrel.
Squirrel tastes a lot like greasy dark meat. It's delicious.
But as the viewers can see, it's just 3 pieces. Really simple.
3 pieces.
I don't know how much it weighs offhand. I'm assuming it's still for purchase online somewhere.
Yep, it is for purchase at fireboxstove.com. Actually, if you just go into the he had it in 2 sections. His website has changed, but it is under the rotisserie option. And I'll tell you guys what, I started marketing it through Firebox because he has such an established platform as it is. It was actually more cost effective for him to be able to help me produce the coffee spit. I did create that as just another excuse and method just to kind of get my kids outdoors, and they actually lovingly named it the coffee spit. So nice. It is a meat rotisserie, but the boys named it and it stuck. So
yeah, I was going through some of my stuff this morning looking for something to talk about, and I saw it and figured I'd pull it back out again.
Well, I'm gonna have to pull mine back out now. Great.
Let's welcome Kevin Johnson to the second episode of the Great Outdoors Show. Kevin is the founder and chief instructor at River Valley Survival, roaming the creeks, streams, and timber of the Illinois River Valley since he was a child. Kevin has years of outdoors experience to share. He began teaching outdoor-related topics and skills in 2011 and is a 2019 Outdoor Leadership and Wilderness Skill Program graduate at Bethlehem Outdoor College. In 2016, he founded Midwest Woodcraft, opened an online store and wood shop, and began hosting survival-related events. These days, Kevin stays busy creating social media and educational content, running his wood shop and store, hosting classes and events in the Midwestern U.S., and enjoying the great outdoors any chance he gets. And we met him in 2018 or 19, I believe, when we had our first Midwest Bushcraft show. And I'm happy to say he's coming out again for our upcoming winter camp. But I want to talk about Kevin. I want Kevin to tell us about his upcoming event, his business, and just some general stuff that he enjoys doing in the outdoors himself.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. I really enjoying what you're doing with the show here. I enjoyed the first episode.
Thank you.
A 10-mile nighttime hike sounded pretty cool.
It is. You should join me next time.
And it sounded creepy, right? Like a
little
dog
bit
coming up out of
creepy.
nowhere.
At least he had a companion along, though, so that's good.
True.
That might have started off a little sketchy, but it sounded like it worked out pretty well.
That's what I'm saying.
At least it wasn't the bison that were in one of the pastures I went through. So
at least it wasn't like a weird two-legged creature. Those are the ones that usually bother me more.
Yeah, same. The ones that ask for money.
Yes. But kind of getting back to our winter camp, the River Valley Survival Winter Camp. Some of you may know me from Midwest Woodcraft. We've been doing some changes here lately. We're still kind of in the midst of those changes. I don't think that Midwest Woodcraft's going to completely go away, but we're going to move forward with River Valley Survival because I feel like that kind of encompasses more what I'm doing, what I did before I got into bushcraft and survival and things, and kind of where I'm wanting to go forward here. So that's the reason for the name change. Our winter camp is going to be pretty much the same as it usually is. This will be the third or fourth year we've ran it. Last year, it kind of turned into a thing. We had some guest instructors. We have some more friends coming out to help make it a great event. I keep missing the side here of where I'm supposed to be looking.
Oh, it's fine.
But yeah, we got some great sponsors on board, some great outdoor educators coming in from all over the Midwest, and I'm really, really excited about it. I'm hoping for, cold weather, but not so cold that everybody's just completely miserable. Of course, it is winter camp. We want that winter weather. I'm sure you guys can understand what I'm saying about that. But just to kind of rattle off who we got coming out, some of the presentations we have coming up for our winter camp. We have Tony Powers from Dirtbound Survival. He's a good friend of mine. We've been doing some classes here lately. He'll be doing a buck saw build, taking the materials off the landscape. We'll have the blades there, and you guys can kind of follow the steps along with him, building your own buck saw off the landscape. My good buddy Brendan Clancy from Prairie State Survival will be doing a winter camping, hammock camping tips and tricks demonstration. That should be great. He does a lot of the winter hammock camping, so he's very knowledgeable in that area. Has a lot. I've learned a lot from him in that topic myself. So I'm really excited for him to come out and share his knowledge in that area. I'll be doing just a short bow drill presentation demonstration, kind of kick things off. I'm just going to get in and out of there real quick and hand things off to the other guys and kind of, let's put them on display a little bit, and give them a chance. Some of these guys are looking for a chance to instruct and teach, so we'll get them in there. We got Jake Trent from Buckeye Bushcraft coming over. He is an up-and-comer. I'm really excited to see what he's got to offer. He's going to be doing some pole mapping, some navigation for us. We have John Dosh, my good buddy John Dosh from Prairie State Wilderness Skills. Sorry, my good buddy John Dosh from Pass It On Wilderness Skills over in Indiana. He will be doing a demonstration on all sorts of different ways of using conibear traps. That's a very versatile trap, in all sorts of situations. So he's going to display all sorts of different ways of using that. We have a youngster, 15-year-old Dayton. I always mess up his last name, Dayton Bornique. He's been hanging out, taking some classes with us lately, traveling around to some events. He came out to our gathering in the fall and did a little class. So he's going to be teaching folks how to escape restraints. He does a lot of escape and evasion and stuff like that.
That's
so
cool.
Awesome young man. He's going around just mopping the floor with all these skills competitions and the gatherings around the Midwest here lately. Great young man, and I'm really looking forward to that. My good buddy Rob Unken from self-reliant mindset. You guys know Rob. He was there
Yeah.
with me in 2018.
Oh yeah,
Awesome guy.
nice.
And he has a homestead with his family. They do a lot of homesteading, and plus he's been through the campcraft program along with me. Very knowledgeable, very knowledgeable guy. He'll be teaching some axe and saw techniques. I thought that's a really good winter skill, and he was willing to share that. He got a lot of experience in that area, so that's going to be awesome. A lot of folks out there need little instruction in that area. And then our good buddy Nick Dunham from Strange Raven Outdoors. He's coming over from Ohio to do some tool maintenance in the field. Show us how he keeps his tools sharp and cared for while he's out in the field. He's real knowledgeable on that. He makes his own blades and things like that. So that's going to be absolutely awesome.
That is very, very much needed. A lot of people who
Yeah.
like, I know, Kevin, you know this, and Jason, you're well aware of this as well. But for people who do not go out into the outdoors very often, that is at the top of your list.
Absolutely.
Keeping care of your tools.
And
100%.
very overlooked and underappreciated skill
It
set.
is until you need it. 100% until you
You
need
can
it
do
in your
just
life.
some minor field maintenance out there in the field while you're out there. You can avoid yourself a lot of work when you get home, things like
That's
that
a
as
great
well.
topic, man. Great topic.
Yeah. I would like to kind of mention my sponsors just real quick.
Sure, of
I
course.
know I took up a lot of time with the
It's fine.
instructors, but my good buddy Hook, Chris Hoogstraat, Hook's Outdoors. He'll be there. He's going to be at your event as well.
Yeah.
He'll be there with his vendors booth, and he's been supporting us for the last year or so. And we always love spending time with Hook and appreciate what he does for us. Campcraft Outdoors, our good buddy Jason Hunt. He's sent us a few items for our raffle as well. Always appreciate him and all of his generosity. Tough Possum Gear is going to send us some pouches. They got some really awesome stuff. If you haven't checked them
Yeah.
out yet, get over there and check them guys out. We're going to have a fire making contest as well as a firewood bucking contest. So you make your saw with Tony. I'll have a saw buck set up there, and we will use a uniform piece, and everybody can kind of time themselves. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do it, but we'll put those things to the test, and we'll have a little prize to give away at the end. So that's about all I got, for our winter camp. It's just going to be an awesome time, food and giveaways, fellowship.
Yeah.
So it's going to be awesome.
I love it. It sounds absolutely wonderful. Like I said, the camp tools and taking care of them, when you said that, if it wasn't so far away from me, I would love to go to that because that is such a needed thing. Kevin, I tell you what, when you guys are out there, do us a solid. Record a segment of that for us so people can see just the importance of it, because it really, really is. It's one of them things that's very overlooked. And when people go out and they go camping and their blade is dull, that creates absolutely a safety issue. You know that.
Absolutely.
So these are things that people just they do not understand until they need to understand. And then that skill that they could have built isn't there, and it becomes a dangerous situation. So I absolutely 100% love that. If you could do us a favor and take some video clips, we'll definitely share it on here and
I'll be
pass the
happy
links.
to
It's
do
great.
that. That's kind of one of the reasons I said I was going to get in there in the beginning and do my thing and then just kind of get out of the way, because I really plan on making sure I get everybody covered and sponsors covered. And as you guys know, being in the middle of organizing an event and running an event, those things
Yeah.
can be very difficult, especially when you're running your own classes and things, along with the event. So I plan on hopefully focusing on getting everybody else get exposure for everybody on this one. So
I'm still at the possibility of making it to that. I'm not 100% sure yet either way, but there is still a possibility that I can make it out for that. Please share where people can get tickets.
we're still running under midwestwoodcraft.net. We don't have the website converted over yet. That'll be coming soon, but for now, you can still find us over at midwestwoodcraft.net. All the changes will be kind of final probably within a month or so, but for right now, that's kind of how we have it set up. So
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about what your goals overall with River Valley Survival is. how it's going to be different than what you did before as well.
Well, it's not gonna necessarily be a whole lot different. What the main difference will be, I'll be trying to plug in a lot of the things that I used to do. Uh, I've always been a river rat. I grew up, a couple miles from the river, running around in the creeks, and as my bio eloquently states, stomping through the mud holes and the creeks and the little tributaries and things like that. And the river valley is such an awesome, diverse place. Diversity is a topic that gets thrown around a lot, but you want to talk diversity, survival is as diverse as it gets. You got all these different regions, all these different resources and combinations in which you can utilize all of them. And the river valley, I kind of want to showcase, the beauty along with the ugliness. I want to get in and do some things that I haven't done. I've got some really cool collaborations in mind and on deck, because some of them are going to make me look stupid, quite frankly. I'm going to go hogging with a group of folks. I've never done that before.
Yes.
And that kind of, honestly, that's nothing that's really ever been super attractive to me, but I'm going to try it. I just kind of want to see what it's all about. I'm going to go out with a group of folks and
Stupid
learn a little bit
dangerous
about
though.
that. Yeah, just some, and it's not all going to be really goofy stuff like that, but that's just one thing I kind of had in mind.
I like how you just brushed that aside. Yeah. Like,
Well,
I could die, lose my shins, but hey.
hey, any technique you can use to procure some food, you never know. I mean, it sounds
Exactly.
silly, but you never know. It might come to play in some situation. You just never know.
Yeah.
But for more, more on the ground things, I just got a lot of, we used to run a lot of trot lines, do a lot of, bank lines, and then applying some of the knowledge I've learned in the survival world over the last decade or decade and a half to that. To a lot of those older things that I did. I'm just gonna, I think, make for some really cool stuff. We're gonna, get some students out there and really get them. I'm looking for new locations to run classes, things like that. So it's, I'm really hoping to up the ante as far as my classes, run some true blue survival classes. I've been running mostly kind of supplemental stuff,
Mm-hmm.
kind of limited, restricted by sites and things like that. Have great sites, but I can only do so much on the lands that I have to work with. So I'm looking to kind of reach out into other areas and I got some kind of a deal worked out with a gentleman over at Central Ohio Outdoors. I'm going to run a class over there in June. So we're trying to just reach out and make some things happen, make some new things happen, get some classes going. More events, just get more people involved in the outdoors, get the youngsters out, get more families out. That's the most gratifying thing, is when you see a whole family of people out at your gathering or out at one of your classes enjoying the outdoors, a father with a son, or even mom and dad with the kids. And, that's that's what you're going for. You want to plant that seed, and you want folks to leave whatever you're doing and take that stuff with them and just continue on. And I think that's my ultimate goal, is just to get as many people interested, and you got to have a lot of things, you know, in the chamber to keep people interested. People get bored with just one thing, one type of class or whatnot. So you got to keep things new and fresh and, keep people interested.
Let's I got two more questions for you. One is, have you thought about what you would like to present at our event, the Midwest Bushcraft Show Winter Camp? And if so, what is that?
I was thinking about doing something simpler, doing a demonstration on making pine needle tea, if that
Oh,
would be okay with you guys. Mhm.
absolutely.
That's a good winter thing, and I'm pretty knowledgeable with that. I think we can put together a really nice demo for that, and we'll make some. We'll bring honey. We'll make a big pot of it. And folks can try it if they wish, and they can make
That
it
sounds
along
good.
with me and have a good old time.
Nice. That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
And plus, people can kind of be around the fire and stuff that way. I figure, it's
Yeah.
winter camp, and we kind of, group around the fire, make us some pine needle tea, and be warm, and drink some warm tea afterwards, and
Yeah.
Have good conversation. Don't forget about that.
just
Always
hang
happy
out.
around a
Yeah, just
campfire.
hang out and have a good time.
Yeah, that's my ultimate goal with the new format of the event. It's the community it's going to hopefully build rather than focusing on other parts and we have in the past. Anyways, my last question for you is, and it kind of is putting you on the spot because you didn't know this question was coming, but if you could spend a week somewhere in the world, in a bushcraft way or an outdoor way camping, where would you go?
And
Mm.
don't say Iowa because you can come hang out with me.
Probably not Iowa, but you can come anywhere that I, would like to go. I don't, that is a very good question. It really is. Because I have two methods of thought here. You know, if it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, why not take that chance to test myself somewhere? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I think of that, really what comes to mind, the coolest place I think I've seen on anything as far as documentaries or any of the shows was there a few, well, it's been several years back when I went to Patagonia,
Okay.
down that area, or maybe down a little farther south, Terra del Fuego or whatever they call it.
Mhm.
Pardon for my ignorance on that, but that area just looks so cool and different that I think I'd like to check that out and check out that area for a little while. It'd be extremely tough, but I think that would be pretty cool. Tropical wise, on the other end of the spectrum, if I was looking for paradise, they say the tropics and when it comes to survival aren't ever really paradise. You got your bugs and
Sure.
diseases
Yeah.
and everything like
Yeah.
that. I think I just like the cooler climates. If we're talking, doing bushcraft stuff or survival and stuff, I think it would either be something like that or we'd be talking a more northern climate, you know, something a little cooler without the ticks and mosquitoes.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, and I really appreciate you coming on.
But
Hey, I
before,
appreciate you guys. I really enjoyed it.
before we sign out with you, though, I have a question for both of you.
Sure.
Okay.
For both of you, there has been this deal that was going on. I'm sure maybe you guys have seen this or not, but there is a outdoor online company called Uberleben, and
I've heard of them.
yep. So they had a shirt that came out that says "Bushcraft sucks," and a lot of people were pissed that it said "Bushcraft sucks." Well, then they sent out another email to everybody, and they even put it in their website saying that the reason why they did that was because bushcraft has become more of a term, and instead of like how we still view it, it's become like applause. It's a term. It's almost a style now instead of being an actual skill set. And my question to you guys is, do you feel like bushcraft? Now we have to remove ourselves from this because we love bushcraft and campcraft. Do you feel that the term bushcraft has become very universal to pretty much anybody going outdoors? That's my question.
Um, for me personally, no, but I could see maybe, overall, maybe yes. I think that people put survival and bushcraft hand in hand a lot, or wilderness living skills, and those are all maybe a little bit different depending on your interpretation. They
I
all
feel the
kind of
same way.
determine the spectrum of survival. But yeah, I think so, and I think bushcraft's fun, survival sucks.
Right? Right? You train for all these skill sets for survival.
Yes. You
And
apply bushcraft skills into survival situations. That's how I feel about it.
I agree with that. What about you, Jason? How do you feel about that? Do you feel like it's more of a slang term now instead of
I could get into a very long-winded, uh, detailed conversation about this or rant about this, only
Yeah.
because of my views on the use of words in other fields that I'm in. Um,
Mhm.
but that being said, I think that people like to put labels on things,
They do.
and they do have like bushcraft is a certain thing. But I don't think that people should be upset by the way other people use certain terms,
Oh,
because
yeah.
them, it is what it is.
I agree with that.
I can say that when we came up with Midwest Bushcraft Show, I've the event itself in the past, I kind of wanted it to be more encompassing than just what bushcraft is. Like with our winter camp, we're going to
Mhm.
have fishing at it and fly fishing because of where we are.
Mhm.
And bushcraft doesn't necessarily fall under that term.
Right.
So I've kind of viewed it as a term that could be encompassing for the outdoors.
So it's a very umbrella term.
But when people ask me what bushcraft is, I'm not sure what you guys respond with, but we could go down to the traditional track of, it's learning the means to live in the bush and the outdoors,
Mm-hmm.
or to survive in the outdoors.
True.
But I think that it's true that it's for most out there, it's lost that traditional meaning as an absolute. Sorry, Kevin.
Go ahead.
I'll just finish with saying that I think that if you judge someone for doing something outside of the bushcraft world, but say that they're still bushcraft, then that's on the person judging them rather than the person being judged. Because you should be able to do whatever you want to do in the outdoors the way that you want to do them. And if you want to learn bushcraft, and if you have a skill that you believe fits under bushcraft, you shouldn't worry about what other people think about that.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
I agree with that. But the reason I kind of started as Midwest Woodcraft was because it was during the time when everybody was kind of in that debate about the Americanized and the English versions of woodcraft. So to me, the bushcraft would be the English
Mm-hmm.
or Australian version of woodcraft. We don't go to the bush, we go to the woods. That's if you want to be super technical. And this is all just my opinion,
Yeah,
of course.
of course.
But I agree with Jason. As Midwest Woodcraft, I was kind of taking the same approach. I was doing, the woodcraft didn't necessarily represent making the products such as the saws and things, or going out and building a chair or a shelter while I was out in the woods. It was more of just an all-encompassing term to bring people in. And at that time, there was a little bit of a debate about the woodcraft and bushcraft thing. I just went the opposite direction with it, and so I kind of think it's exactly like Jason said. If you're out in the outdoor, Shane Coffey Outdoors, that's all encompassing. You could do anything, you know, anything within the realm of the outdoors. But that shouldn't limit you to doing, if you want to, do a project in your basement while you're, walking people through something, and that should be just fine too. Or, if you're bushcraft and you're going kayaking, that shouldn't be too big of an issue. I wouldn't.
Which I have done. I have done
Right,
that.
we all have.
Yeah.
So I agree with Jason. I think he's got the right outlook on that. Just leave people alone, let them do their thing. If you enjoy their content, support them. If not, then leave them alone.
Well, I really, first of all, I'm glad that you guys had those responses, because I feel like me asking you guys that, it wasn't a loaded question. And I knew that you guys were very, what's that?
You froze for a second, but you're good.
Oh, am I good now?
It was a very
Okay,
minuscule second, but you're good.
So I'll restart it. So asking you guys that, I feel like it wasn't a very loaded question. I feel like the response that I was going to get from you guys was going to be along that same lines, because I feel like we're really similar in our thought process when it comes to that. Obviously, with Midwest Bushcraft, Jason and I are hand in hand in that. So we have a lot of the same outlooks when it comes to that stuff. But what you said about the woodcraft was interesting, because that goes back years, Kevin, years, when people were talking about how bushcraft was a very UK thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in America, we have campcraft and we have woodcraft. And you know, for me personally, campcraft, woodcraft, bushcraft, it's all the same, but a little bit different. And
Yeah.
when I say that, boy, I could go into the details, but I feel like you guys really understand what I'm saying when I say it's the same, but a little bit different.
Right.
Because you might not be using a ferrocerium rod, you might not be using a friction fire, but you might still be using lanterns. You know, all these things are great. And for me personally, if you're outdoors and you're doing these things and you're supporting each other, but more importantly, you're supporting the outdoors, my hat's off to you. You know, my hat's off to you. I just thought it was really interesting when I saw the post from Uberleben to begin with about their shirt that said bushcraft sucks. I was like, wow. But when they sent out their secondary email and their website, you know, they readdressed it and they said, hey, this is what we mean. We feel like the word bushcraft is really being used as a slang term.
Yeah.
I also see that. So for me, it's like, is there a middle ground? Like, do we all have a middle ground for that? Because I think we do. I think that
Yeah.
we have skills, and I think that we have training for survival. Like you said, bushcraft is fun, survival sucks, but you need to use these skill sets in order to prepare yourself. You know, but you know, are we prepping is different. Prepping is I don't even need to get into that. Prepping is a
Yeah.
whole other world in itself. It's a whole
Yeah.
new spectrum.
But
So
yet to go under survival, the realm of survival. I think.
right.
Yeah.
Under survival,
Yeah.
but some of these same skill sets are very much needed in order to do these items. So yeah, I wanted to pick your brain about it. I made a note. I'm a note taker. You may notice I always write stuff
Yep.
down because
Yep. I like that.
that's just how that's how I process it. I take notes. I go over it before I bring it up. But there's one thing. I mean, my actual note says Uberleben, bushcraft sucks, question mark. So
Some of
all right,
that
guys.
too, Shane, may just be hype building. You know, as companies, we're all looking for a way to, you know, even negative responses and things on social media build. You know,
Yeah.
the algorithm likes that as well. So
Well, yeah, because how many people are going to not support them anymore compared to how many people are now going to see that didn't know of them
didn't
before?
even know they were there until they
Yeah.
seen, you know, a bunch of people complaining about them
Right.
down in bushcraft and in comments and stuff.
And it came off to me, and I saw it. And honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. When I very first saw Uberleben come out, yeah, as you guys know, I love camp stoves. We all
Mm.
have the idiosyncrasies, things that we love. I love camp stoves. I have a whole shop full of camp stoves. I'll take a clip one time and I'll show them
I've
the
seen a
video.
truckload of them one time.
Yes. I have more. I have a whole shop of them. But for me personally, it's a collection. It's something I love. But when they very first came out, I thought, oh, here we go with another company. But they have since continued to stay an outdoor company. You know, they have ferrocerium rods, they
Yeah.
have their rope twine fire starters, they have different stoves that have come out. So they've grown with the times. I just, you know, I at one time they were exactly what they're talking about now, where they were just a slang term. They were right in the midst of using
Yeah.
that said slang term to help, you know, vault themselves, like you said, you know, to be seen, to be heard. So yeah, it could be a ploy, it could be, you know, a business ploy because I saw it. You know, I have a
Right.
couple things from them that I've purchased, but and I have one thing that they sent me. But yeah, so long story short, I wanted to know what your opinion was on it. I saw it, I thought it was interesting, and you know, inquiring minds need to know. On that matter, here's a shot to you guys.
Cheers.
Right on, gentlemen.
I think people are too sensitive these days.
Very much so. This is something I could go on and hurt a bunch of people's feelings for a while, most likely. But But that reminds me of a couple t-shirt ideas I have for the new business going forward that may get probably not as big of a reaction, obviously, and not as big of a company, but maybe similar reactions anyway, you know. But I don't know,
Well,
I feel.
positive or negative, no matter what, people see it, they're gonna see it. If it's good or bad, it's still gonna be seen. So honestly, good or bad for your company is still good for your company.
Well,
I'll be
not,
honest with you. River Valley Survival is going to be a little bit different for me to get used to because I'm so used to say, "Oh yeah, Kevin Johnson, Midwest Woodcraft." So River
it's
Valley,
for me too. I keep messing up my videos. I'm trying to shoot some new video content and I mess up. I don't know almost every time. So
I like that you made the change, and I like that you decided to do this because you know what? Honestly, just like we talked about with this whole bushcraft thing, this is a needed change for you because really, this is right along your lines. It really is. Considering what you always incorporate in your shows as well,
yeah,
this is
I think
perfect for
so.
you.
I think so. And that's been the general response that I've gotten. You know, sad to see that go, but very excited and happy about, you know, I keep explaining it this way is this, I had a goal in mind with Midwest Woodcraft and the goals have been reached and changed. You know, I'm not saying I've reached, you know, 100% across the board reached every goal, but for the most part, very satisfied with how Midwest Woodcraft worked out. And it just kind of, this is just, you know, the kind of the plan developed to a certain point, and we've got to move beyond that. So this is just the
Sure,
next,
sure,
the next step. So
sure.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up the episode here. And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. The links to everything we talked about in this episode will be in the description, so you can go find everything that we talked about. Please subscribe and comment, and we'll respond to you.
See you guys.
see you guys. Great hanging out with you.